Hello everyone, today is the 21st video of my database management systems practical video series. Today I'm going to do the 21st of the question list of database management systems. You can see under day 7, here's the 21st question. Let's answer for this one, but before that I have to notify you. I already told you in my previous videos we are continuing the question. We started from question 17, so if you didn't watch those previous videos, you have to watch them before come to this video, otherwise you will not understand what we are doing here. So here's the first one. What is the highest mark obtained in the first term mathematics subject? Okay, now we have to find the highest mark. In the previous videos we find the lowest mark and the student who got the lowest mark, like that. Now we have to find the highest mark. Let's go to our ADSQL browser. You can see we are answering for this question using the database we created earlier, the exam mark DB. So here's the first one. In order to find the highest mark, we have to write a select query to the table which is storing the marks, which is the student exam mark record. So I'm writing the main query. I'm going to use the subquery method to find this answer. Select. For now I need all the details. Select asterisk marks from, is the database exam mark DB, and here's the table student exam mark record, where this is the condition. We don't need all the details. We are going to sort this one. So here's the keyword where, and I'm going to sort the data, sort the records inside this specific attribute, which is the mark table. So we are sorting for the highest mark. So marks, the highest mark, when we are finding the highest mark, there will be only one record, so we don't have to use in keyword. We can use equal. That if you want to use in keyword, you can use it. It will not confuse, or it will not be an error in our query, but I'm going to use equal. And here's the second query. We are finding the lowest mark. In this query, the result will be the lowest mark, and we are going to feed that result into this main query. So select to find the maximum mark or maximum value inside an attribute. There's a keyword called max in databases. We use to use min keyword to find the minimum value, like that. There's a keyword called max. I'm going to use that max, and we are finding the highest value recorded in the attribute mark. And here's the from. I'm mentioning the database where the marks are stored in. So exam mark DB, and here's the table student exam mark record, and we have to define a condition where, and we need only the first term. We need only to sort the highest mark in first term and in the mathematics subject. So there will be two conditions. Here's the first one. I am defining the first condition to find only the first term marks, and let me copy the ID of the first term. You can see exam term ID. We are sorting from by using that particular attribute equal, and here's the other the next select query. We are writing this query to find the ID of the first term. That means we have to write a select query to the exam term table, because that's the table which records the or which store the records of our term, the details of our term. So you can see first term, second term. In exam term table, we need to find the ID of the first term, which is number 1. So I'm finding the ID, so I need only the ID. Let me copy the attribute name, term ID, from, here's the database and the table, exam mark DB, and here's the table exam term, and is the condition where, and we are using this specific attribute, which is the first term, which is the term name. Let me copy that name to term name, and equal to, we need the first term mark, so first term. Okay, we can execute this query and see what is the highest mark recorded in the first term. Let's do that one. You can see here's the highest mark recorded in the first term, but we need the highest mark recorded in the mathematics subject in the first term. So we have to write another condition. So I'm using AND. Then here's the attribute. We are sorting in exam mark record, which is the, let me go to the exam mark record, which is the subject ID. So we are sorting from the subject ID, equal to, and this is the next query, select. We need the subject ID. So let me go to the if we are defining a specific subject by the subject name, we have to write a query to the table which is storing the details about the subject, which is the subject table. You can see in the subject table there's the subject name and the subject ID. We need the subject ID. Let me copy that one, subject ID, and here I am mentioning the database exam DB, and here's the table subject, and this is the condition where we need the mathematics subject in subject name. So let me copy the attribute name, subject name, equal to mathematics. Okay, here we completed our query. Let me close this one and let's execute this query. You can see the record didn't change. The record changed to 90. That's the highest mark recorded in the mathematics subject in first term. So here we find our highest mark, but we need only the mark. So we don't need to use, we don't need all the details of that record. We only need the mark. So I need only the mark. I am changing the asterisk mark to mark. Okay, here's the highest mark, and let me show you the whole query. You can see here's the whole query, and let's go to the next question. What is the highest mark obtained in the second term science subject? Okay, again we have to find another highest mark recorded in the second term science subject. Let's go to our SQL browser. I'm going to break this whole query, or the query we are going to write into separate parts and it will help you to understand how to write these kind of long queries to get the answer. So here's the first one. You can see we need to find we can break this down to separate parts. In here you can see we need to find the subject ID of the science subject in order to search for this subject, because the marks in the mark table you can see in student mark record table only the subject ID is recorded, not the subject name. So we need to find the subject ID using the subject name in subject table. So we have to write a select query to the subject table to get the ID. Let's write that query select. For now I need all the details. So asterisk from, here's the database name exam mark DB, and then we need details in subject table, but we don't need all the details. We only need the ID of the second term test. So I am sorting these data using the values inside the subject name attribute. So here I am mentioning the attribute subject name. Let me copy that one. Subject name and equal to second term, science. Okay, let's execute this one. You can see the record is here, but we don't need all the details in the record. We need the ID. So let's define that. We need only the subject ID. Let's execute this one. You can see so the subject ID is 2. Let's write another query to find the term ID. You can see we need to find only the second term, the marks related to the second term test. So here I am writing another query to the table which is stored in the details about terms, which is the exam term table. You can see in the table here are the records, first term, second term. We need the ID because we are searching this ID using the term name. So let's write another select query to the term table, exam term table, from exam mark DB, and here's the exam term table. Where is the condition? We need only the ID of the second term test, which is the term name. So here's the attribute term name equal to second term. Let's execute this one. Let me copy this one too. Let me clear, and then let's execute this one. The second term test record is here. We don't need all the record, only the term ID. So term ID. Okay, here's the term ID number 2. It is also the number 2. So here are the two the two queries we write to find the term ID and the subject ID. Now we can find the max mark. So here I am writing the this is going to be the main query. I'm writing a select query to the main table, which is the student exam mark record, which store the marks of the student. We are going to write a sub query to find the highest mark. So here's the main query select. For now I need all the details, so asterisk mark from here's the database name and the table name exam mark TB, and then the student exam marks record table is the condition where I need the details. I need the record belongs to the science subject and the second term test. That means we have to use two conditions. Here's the first one, where here I am mentioning the attribute name in the main table, which is the student exam mark record. Here's the attribute. We are sorting the details or data from the subject ID as the first condition, equal to, here's the first query. I'm going to copy the query, science subject. As the result of this query, the query I paste here, it will be the subject ID of the science subject, and it will feed into the main table or main query. And then here's the second condition. I'm using the AND keyword, and then here's the next attribute. I am sorting the data, which is the exam term ID. Let me copy that one. I'm sorting the data using the query I wrote to find the term ID in exam term table. It will find the ID of the second term test. Okay, here are the two queries. Let's execute this one. There's an error because there are two semicolon marks. I have to clear this one. Okay, let's execute this one. Okay, here you can see here are the details belong to the science subject in second term test, but we need only the maximum mark within these details. For that we can use the max keyword. Is the max keyword, and I'm finding the maximum value recorded inside the mark attribute within this result. So here I'm mentioning the mark attribute. Let's execute this one. You can see the highest mark is 95 in second term test for science subject, and we can change the attribute name. I done this part in my previous video. We can use the keyword as and change the attribute name of the result to something we want. So max in second term for science. Like that you can change the attribute name. So here we completed our second part of the question. Let me show you the whole query. Here's the whole query. I want to find the maximum mark. Let's go to our question list. What is the here's the third one. What is the highest mark obtained by the student for all the subject in second term? Okay, we write a query to find the maximum mark in science subject in second term test, but in this part we have to find the highest mark in from all the subjects in second term test. So in order to do that, let's write a new query. We can write a query to find the ID of the second term test. So here I am writing the query to find the ID of the second term test. Let me go to the term table, because that's the table which is storing the details about the terms. I need the term ID. I'm hoping to feed this result into the main query I'm going to write in a second, but let's create the this sub query first. Here's the database name exam mark DB, but before that we have to put the keyword from exam mark db, and here's the table name exam term where this is the condition exam name equal to second term. Okay, here's the term ID of the second term, which is number 2, and let's copy this one to somewhere else and write our main query. Here's the main query. Select, for now I need all the details, for asterisk from exam mark db, and here's the table student exam mark record where, and this is the condition. I'm sorting these all the details in exam mark record from the values inside the exam term ID attribute, which is equal to, here our next our subquery. Let me copy the subquery we created before this main query. Okay, here's the subquery. It will feed the ID of the second term test into this condition. So let's execute this one. You can see all the details of the second term test are here. Here you can see the exam term ID is 2 in all the records in the result, but we need only the maximum mark. So here I'm using the max keyword, and here's the attribute we are sorting the max value mark. It's better you mention the table name, but it's okay if you don't. So I'm mentioning the table name, which is the exam mark record student exam mark record. Okay, let's execute this one. You can see here's the maximum value recorded in all subjects in second term test, 98.5. Okay, here we completed the third part of the question. Let me show you the whole query. This is the whole query. Let's change the attribute name second term max mark. Okay, here the attribute name of the result changed to second term max mark. Okay, here's the fourth one. We completed these 3 questions. What subject got the highest mark in second term? Okay, in this part we have to find the subject name. So we can use this query we wrote in the third question to find that answer, but I'm going to write a new one. We need this max mark, and then we have to find the name using that mark. So let's write a new query. Select, I'm going to write the I'm going to find the details in subject table, because that's the table which store the names of the subject. You can see so here's the query to the subject table. Select, for now I need all the details, so asterisk from exam mark db, and then subject. Here's the condition. We can write a condition, but for now let's execute this one. You can see here are all the subjects. Let me copy this one to a separate file. and let's find the maximum mark of the second term test. Let me go to the question. You can see which subject got the highest mark in the second term. So let's repeat the method we used to find the maximum mark in third part of the question. Select. For now I need all the details asterisks from exam mark DB, and here's the table student exam mark record, and here's the condition where I'm sorting these details from term ID and then term ID equal to, here's our subquery. I'm writing a query to find the ID of the second term test because we need only the data or marks of the second term test. So here select I need the ID of the subject, so ID of the term. So let me copy the attribute name term ID, where from exam mark DB, and then the table exam term, and here's the term where term name equal to second term. Okay, let's execute this one. You can see here here all the records belongs to the second term test, and I need only the max value. So max in marks attribute. Here's the maximum mark which is 98.5, and then let me copy this one. Let me copy the first or the main query we write earlier, and then let's feed the details into this main query as a condition. So where let's find the ID. We need the ID before that. This one. We need the ID, so we have to write another query to find the ID of the maximum, which records the maximum mark. So select for now asterisk from exam DB and student exam mark record, where the mark, here we are sorting the data from the mark, which is the maximum mark, equal to, and here's the query. Okay, here's the query. Let's execute this one. You can see here's the record of the maximum mark, and I need only the ID, student, the subject ID. So let me copy the attribute name subject ID. Okay, here is our subject ID. This number 3, and let's feed these details into our main query. Let me go and copy the main query. Is the main query, and I'm going to feed this this data, which is the subject ID of the highest of the subject which records the highest mark in second term test as the condition in a main query. So here's the condition where we are sorting the data from subject ID. So subject ID let me copy the attribute name, subject ID equal to, and here's the subquery. Let me copy this one. Okay, here is our complete query. Let's execute this whole query and see what is the result. You can see the Sinhala language and the literature is the subject which records the highest mark in second term test. Here we completed our fourth part of the question, so let's move on to the fifth one. Find the details of the student who got the highest mark in second term test. We find the subject name. Now we have to find the student name. Actually, the details of the student name who got the highest mark in second term test. Okay, let's go to SQL browser again. Let me clear this query. Let's write a new query to get that answer. First, let's find the ID of the second term test. Select, you know what we have to do. Select for now asterisk from exam mark DB, and then the term where, and here's the condition where the term name is equal to second term. Okay, let's execute this one. You can see here are the details of the second term test, but we need only the term ID. Let's mention the table name first. Term name, sorry, exam term. Okay, and here's the term ID. Let's execute this one. You can see the term ID of the second term test is 2. Let me copy this query. Okay, now we have to find the ID of the student. But before that, we have to find max mark of the second term test. So let's find write a query to the student exam mark record. Select for now asterisk from exam mark DB, and then student exam mark record, where here's the attribute. We are sorting the data. We are sorting the data from mark equal to, here's the here we have to put the query we wrote to find the second term test. Sorry, we have to find the max mark. So let me clear this one. We are sorting the data not from the mark attribute. We are sorting the data from term ID. Let me copy that one. Exam term ID equal to, here's our query we write to find the term ID of second term test. Okay, let me end the query. Let's execute this one. You can see here are all the records belongs to the second term test, but we only need the maximum value within this detail. So max mark equal okay, here you can see the maximum mark of second term test is 98.5. We need to feed these details to the main query, which we are going to find the student ID. Then we can use that ID to find the student details from student table. Let me copy this to the notepad. This query. Let's write our next query to find the student ID. But before that, I need all the details. So asterisk, select asterisk from exam mark DB, and then here student exam mark record, where is the condition is the, and then the attribute mark. We are using the maximum mark to sort the details inside student mark record. So equal to, and here's the query to find the maximum mark. Let me copy that one. Okay, let's execute this query and see what is the data. You can see the record belongs to the which have the maximum mark in the second term test is here. Now we need only the student index number. So let's change the asterisk mark to student index number. Let me copy the name, student index number. Okay, the student index number is stu_003. Now we just need to write another query to the student table to find his details. Let me copy the query to the notepad. Let's write the query to the student table. Select for now all from exam mark DB, and then here's the table name student, and this is the condition where we are sorting the data from the attribute student index number in the student table equal to, and here's the query we wrote to find the student who got the highest mark. So we copy this one. Okay, here we complete our whole query. Let's execute this one. You can see the details of the student who got the highest mark for all the subjects in second term test is shown in the result. She is Sachitra Vikramasinghe. Okay, now we complete our fifth part of the question. Let me show you the whole query. Here's the whole subquery to find we used to find the data, and here's the last one. Find the details of the student who got the highest mark in mathematics in the first term examination and the class in which she is studying. Okay, now we have to write another condition to find the mathematics, find the student who got the highest mark in mathematics subject for the first term test. So let me clear this one. Let's find the subject ID of the mathematics subject first. In order to do that, we have to write a select query to the subject table. So select we need only the ID, subject ID. Let me go to the subject table and copy the attribute name subject ID from is the database name exam DB, and then the table name subject, where is the condition. I'm sorting the data from the subject name, so subject name equal to mathematics. Let's execute this one. You can see the subject ID is 1. Let me copy this query to a notepad. Okay. Now let's find the term ID of the first term. Select. I need the term ID, so let's go to the exam term table. Okay, here's the term ID from, and here I'm mentioning the database name markdb, and then exam term. We are searching the data in exam term table, and here's the condition where we are searching the data from the term name. So here's the term name. Here, and here's the value inside that name we are looking for, which is the first term. Okay, let's execute this one. You can see the ID is 1. Now let's copy this to our notepad, and let's write a query to find the maximum mark in first term. So here's the query to the table which is storing the marks of the students, which is the student exam mark record. So select. For now I need all the details from exam mark db, and here's the table student exam mark record, where now we have to write a condition. We have two conditions. This data should be equal to the first term, and then the subject should be equal to mathematics. So here's the first term. For that we have to give an attribute name in the main table. Here's the attribute name. First one, I'm looking for the subject ID. I'm sorting from the subject ID. Subject ID equal to, here's the first subquery. Subject should be equal to the ID of the math subject. Let's execute this one first and see what is the result. You can see here are the records belong to the mathematics subject, but these data are in first term and second term. We have to find only the first term, so we have to define another condition. So here's the condition. I'm using the AND keyword, and here's the attribute in student exam mark record, which is the exam term ID. This should be equal to the ID from exam term table, so equal to, here's the second query. Okay, let's execute this one. You can see only the first term test mathematics marks are showed in the result. Now we can find the maximum mark from this data. Here I'm using the keyword max, and here's the attribute we are sorting. We are finding the maximum value, which is the mark. Let's mention the table name first. Student exam mark record, and here's the attribute name. Okay, you can see the maximum mark of the first term test for mathematics subject is 90. So let me copy the whole query to the notepad again, and let's write a query to get the student ID. So select for now all the asterisks from exam mark DB, and here's the table name. We are searching the data again inside the student exam mark record, where here's that condition, and we are searching the data from mark equal to, and here our query. This will feed the maximum mark into the condition of our main query. Okay, let's execute this one. You can see the record which have the maximum mark for the mathematics subject in first term is showed in the result, but we need only the student ID. This ID can be used to find the student details. So student ID, student index number. You can see it's stu_004. Let me copy this whole query again to the notepad. Okay, let's write our main query. This is the main query. Select for now all. I'm going to write this query to the student table, which is the table that's storing the student details. So student from select asterisk from exam mark DB, and here's the table name student, and here's the condition where we are searching the data from the student index number. Let me go to the student table and copy the attribute name index number should be equal to, and here's the subquery we created. Okay, here's the complete query. Let's execute this one and see the result. You can see the result is here. The student who got the maximum mark in for mathematics subject in first term test is Amanda Moses, and here are the details of her. Now we completed our whole question. I think that's it for this video, and thank you very much for watching. Let's see you in the next video.